Good evening or good morning where you're at.
Good morning. Good morning. How you going?
Good, how are you?
All right. Hey, I love that
Good.
introduction. It was fantastic.
Oh, thank
Well
you.
done. Yeah, look great.
So is there, I really have to ask, is there much of a scene for your kind of music in Australia?
I'll say yes, the same as any other subculture scene, but certainly here in Melbourne, Melbourne's got a very big music scene.
Oh, does it?
Um,
Okay.
yeah. We've got heaps of venues that cater to all sorts of music types, but this particular kind of dark side, the kind of subgenre, yeah, no, it's pretty active. There's a core group of, I don't know, if I had to pick a number, maybe 20 or 30, 40 bands or
Oh,
something
wow.
like that. Yeah. So, and there's events on most weekends. There's always something going on in this space. So yeah, no, it's pretty active, Yeah, it's good.
All right, cool. So how'd you come up with your project name, Suburban Spell?
It's actually a line from a Pet Shop Boys song called Suburbia, and the lyric content of that entire song kind of resonated with me, and there's just one line that kind of captured it all, and it was Suburban Spell, and I thought, oh yeah, I can make that work, and that kind of ties in with a lot of my kind of lyric content of all of my songs, really. So it just kind of made sense, and it's a bit of a mouthful sometimes. I think sometimes I wish I had a bit of a shorter, sharper name, but no, it just seems to capture the essence of what I want to say.
All right. And what would you say is your first experience, like ever hearing, like electronic type music?
Well, I'm gonna show my age here, but probably Kraftwerk. Back in the days, I mean, everyone talks about Kraftwerk, but really they are the godfathers of electronic music, and without them, we wouldn't have electronic music as we know it today. So back in that day, it was certainly Kraftwerk, and there's a few kind of offshoots, Klaus Schulze and a few of those others, and that kind of led into, Jarre and all of those kinds of things. So and of course early Ultravox and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was the kind of the early inspirations, I think, definitely.
And what inspired you to start making your own music?
Well, I've been making music for a long time, and I used to play in bands in the 80s, believe it or not, and I used to play in electronic kind of new wave bands back then. And I kind of gave it a rest for a few years after that, and just wanted to get back into it again. I think it's kind of my core. It's my kind of favorite music, but I kind of lost my way a bit in that over the journey, and I think I started to get back into it again when COVID came. We had a really big shutdown here in COVID, so I had a lot of time at home, and then I just started to create that sort of music again, and I discovered a lot of the technology that's available also really allowed me to be ultimately really creative with what I wanted to do, and it just kind of made sense to me. And I've just had a truckload of ideas since this kind of started in 2018, I think. And I've got, and I'm really looking forward to what the future's going to bring as well. I've got a truckload of ideas where I think I want to take it. So yeah, it's exciting.
All right, awesome. So, what do you think is your biggest struggle as a musician?
Oh, that's a really good one. I think this is probably more of a general response, but I think as an artist, I think one of the things you struggle with is laying yourself bare, like emotionally, sort of for your music and for art. And it's something I'm kind of learning to get better at all the time, but just to be true to yourself as an artist, I think, and be true to your voice. And it sounds a bit kind of wanky, but but it kind of that's the kind of thing that's kind of hard, I think, for me, is not to be so self-conscious, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a new album coming out next week.
I do.
What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's called Incompatible. There's a single out right now called Being Incompatible. There's 9 tracks off the album. It's available on Bandcamp and all of those usual things. And it was probably about 18 months, I suppose, in the making. I wanted to approach this album a bit differently from the point of view that I wanted to write maybe 15, 16 songs and then select the best and sort of filter that back down to the 9 songs are there. And I didn't want to make it a huge album with a whole lot of kind of filler tracks. I wanted all the tracks to be strong and standalone. And so so that was kind of a new approach. The other kind of approach that was a bit different is that I actually used on a couple of tracks anyway. There's live bass and sort of live guitar, whereas previously I've been strictly electronic.
Mhm.
And that's kind of been really good fun, and I'm keen on exploring that a bit further. So, and I just wanted this album as well to be a bit darker and a bit harder than my other tracks as well. So I'm really looking forward to explore that a bit further as well on future work.
And let's talk about this cover image for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who took that photograph, and you know, just what are you trying to say with that image?
Well, it's kind of the photograph was taken by a guy called Brett Butler, who is just a random guy who put this photograph up on a Facebook social group that I kind of follow. I think it's called Humans of Melbourne or something like that. And I thought, wow, that's a really striking image. And then when I found out the image was an old guidance beacon for ships in the Port Phillip Bay here, it kind of just made a lot of sense to me from that point of view. So it was kind of like a bit of an icon for that. And apart from really liking the image, I think it's a great, strong image. But it kind of just made sense that there's a lot of kind of wayward things happening in this world, and it's sometimes good to have a bit of a focus, you know. So I thought that kind of said what I wanted it.
Okay.
Yeah, what I wanted to. Yeah.
So your album comes out on the 12th. Is that date significant for some reason, or is it just a date you picked?
Timing. It's actually been pushed back a fair bit due to problems with getting some videos made and stuff like that. But no, it's just and I've got a gig coming up on the 14th, which is the album launch as well. So I wanted to get it obviously released before the album launch gig. So the timing of that actually worked out quite well. So that was really the only significance of the date.
Okay. And what inspired the song, you know, Being Incompatible? What's that exactly about?
It's kind of a bit of a reflection on relationships, and sometimes you can lose yourself in those relationships and lose your identity, I think, if you're not careful. And it's kind of just a bit of a reflection on that. And I suppose in some of my life's journey, I've had a bit of that, you know, to deal with. And I think you get better at it as you get older. So it's kind of a song about that, really. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you have a show on the 14th, your album release. Do you have any other shows coming up?
Yeah, there is. For those in Melbourne, there's another one. It's in October. I think it's the 7th. I'm not sure. And it's at the Burgee Band Room in Brunswick. So actually, I'm just looking at my calendar. I think it's the 6th of October. Anyway, I'm not sure about that, but yeah, for those in Melbourne, it's out there, and that should be a fun night. There's a couple of bands from Sydney coming down, and it's a big event. So we're on pretty early, but it'll be a great night. So if you're available to go to that, it'll be well worth it.
All right. So what's the creative process like for your music videos?
It's probably my least favorite part of this whole process. I'm more of a music guy than a visual guy. I suppose I kind of use the basis lyric content of the songs to sort of create a bit of a theme, I suppose. And I've got a really creative video maker who I work with called Paul, who runs a video production company called Dingo Cross Films. And he's kind of the smart one in that space. I kind of just come up with the broad ideas, and then he kind of follows it through, and he does an amazing job. So when the album comes out on the 12th, there's a feature song on the track, which has got a video with it. On the album, and it's called When I Die, and it's shot in an old nuns convent down here in Melbourne, down in Collingwood, one of the suburbs here, and it kind of just made a lot of sense to have it in a convent with the theme of the song, because it's about the song's about euthanasia and the right to choose. And I just kind of, and the old convent and the kind of religious kind of Gothic kind of imagery that went with it just kind of made sense with the song. And I kind of like it because there's a bit of a dichotomy with the song, as in lyrically and visually it kind of sounds dark, but it's actually it's got quite a light kind of pop feel to it as well. So I really kind of like that kind of contrast between the two. Yeah, it's really cool.
Cool. Do you have a certain creative project that you've always wanted to do but you haven't been able to do yet?
Oh, good question. I've dabbled in a few creative projects over the years. I don't have anything kind of specific in mind. I'd like to kind of, so when I play live, there's three of us. There's myself, computer, and some backing tracks, and I've got a guitarist and a bass player who also play with me live. And then, but I'd like to kind of expand on that a bit further, I think. But it's just a matter of finding the right people, the right personalities, and also some people who are just sort of in it to have a bit of fun, really, and not take things too seriously. But I'd like to kind of expand the live show a bit more, one day. But it's a lot of work, and finding time when I've got all these ideas that I want to produce and write and create in the studio and when you decide to play live, it takes up a whole lot of headspace and time. So it's just getting the balance right between those things.
All right, this one's a little bit off the wall. If you were an animal, what kind would you be and why?
Definitely be a black cat. I've got two, and I love them to bits. And and one of them's kind of really skittish and a bit sort of all over the shop, and one's really cool, like Burt Reynolds, if that means anything to you. But he kind of just lounges around, and I just kind of like that kind of like how they just don't give a fuck, they just go and do their thing,
Yeah.
And I think, that's pretty cool. I could do that. Yeah,
I'm honestly amazed my kitten hasn't interrupted us yet.
I'm just waiting for a couple of mine to come walking across in front of the screen, but so far they've been behaving, so it's good.
What social media platforms can people find you on?
Facebook, Instagram. I think I've got something on Twitter as well. SoundCloud, Bandcamp, and I'm on all the streaming stuff, I think, as well. So they can find me if they just Suburban spell, and it'll come up. All
right. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you wanted to talk about tonight or this morning?
Look, I don't know. I think the genre is really strong. I travel to the States a fair bit, and every time I go over there, there's always something going on over there musically. Of course, the scene's very strong in Europe, and I'm also finding out it's really strong in Mexico and South America. And there's little kind of out of the way pockets, I suppose, that you wouldn't expect it to be have any traction, but it's surprising how much traction this style of music actually does around the world, and it's great. And it just gives, and also I really like how it's very independent as well. So it actually gives us artists an opportunity to present our music to an audience, as opposed to being, tied in with a huge record deal where you get kind of, I don't know, manipulated if you like. So I think the scene's really strong, and I think it's better off in some ways for actually being a subgenre. You know what I mean? Because it's got its own space, it's got its own life. So
absolutely. All right, and what message do you have for anybody who watches this?
Enjoy your music. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it speaks to you and you enjoy it, and that's the most important thing. And just be true. Absolutely.
Quick announcement: on Tuesday, I'll be here with Stephen Archer from Stoneburner and Ego Likeness. But thank you so much for coming on, Pete, and I hope you have a good day.
Great. Thanks, mate. Appreciate the opportunity.
And if you want to hang out after the credits roll, you're totally welcome to.
All right.